Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we'll be doing another class in our series of classes on Scorpio ascendant and the ruling planet and the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Mars in Sagittarius. Mars in Sagittarius, of course, is an interesting combination. It's a good position for Mars. Mars likes to be in a fire sign. Mars itself, its nature is fiery. It's an honor in Aries, and so it works good in its triplicity. It works good in Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. And so it works nice in Sagittarius, and it gives a person interest in travel, right? Because Sagittarius, first of all, rules travel, it rules philosophy, higher education. All sorts of things, religion, all sorts of things like that will be important to the person. And so that's one thing about it, and it gives a person a lot of drive, and you want to look where Mars is. Mars falls, for the most part, in the second house, when you have Scorpio in the ascendant. So then you have Sagittarius in the second house. So a person who has Mars in the second house, he's going to be he wants money. But let's put it this way: he wants money, right? Because it's in the house of money, and the ascendant too is connected with the 8th house, which is other people's money. So he has a double indication right off the bat for money. Right? Because he's got the ascendant in Scorpio, which rules the 8th house, which rules the other people's money, the partner's money. And he has his own ruling planet in the second house, the house of his own money. And so when a person has a ruling planet in house number 2, there's a big drive for money, especially when you have Mars. And Mars is a planet that's very egotistical, that wants its... and it's a hard worker, it drives, it gives impetus, right? So the person's going to work hard to make money. And so you see that in the chart of a Scorpio rising with Mars in Sagittarius. It's a little difficult again because the ascendant is not connected to the ruling planet by aspect, right? Mars is let's say Scorpio and Sagittarius, they sort of don't have a connection, right? For example, Sagittarius is religion. What's the enemy of religion? Death. People see that, or misery. People see that bad things happen to good people. So Scorpio, which indicates a lot of bad things because it rules the house of death and stuff like that. So it's like the enemy of religion. People turn away from religion because they say, well, God should be good. He should only do good if there was a God. And so that you see there's a disconnect between the two things. Money and religion don't go together, right? People who devote their whole lives to working on themselves to get to a higher level, they have to sacrifice a lot of money. And so, in that sense too, they're enemies. So it's not a perfect a perfect fit, but it's nice. Mars in Sagittarius in the second house is going to bring a lot of money to the person. Under most conditions, of course, you have to always say, well, if there's going to be bad aspects, then it's going to change, right? Mars is exactly conjunct Saturn, also in Sagittarius. That could inhibit the money-making abilities seriously. So you have to always look at different combinations, but if you just look at it in isolation, it's a nice aspect for money. And it also gives a desire, like we said, because it's in Sagittarius. Again, if you connect all the signs, and then it's in the house of money, and it's in Sagittarius, which could indicate like different areas where the person would maybe work to make that money. So I want to do a chart tonight, actually, a chart of one of the richest men in all-time history. Very, very well. He was one of the the industrialists in America in the early 1900s or late 1800s. When was he born? Actually, he was born 1835. So he was born in England, but he came to America. So let's say he made his money in the 1870s, around there in that area. And eventually he sold his company for about $150 million. Today that's nothing, but back then, I think they said adjusted for today, it would be worth about at least $5 billion, if not more. And his name was Andrew Carnegie. He was made his money in the steel business and a lot of things. He made his money. I don't remember how he initially made his money, but eventually he was most known for the Carnegie Steel Company. But he was a very, very wealthy man, and so you see the chart right away. Today, not everybody who has Mars in the second house, ruling planet, is going to become a billionaire. So again, you have to ask, well, why is he? You see the interest in the money, but you have to ask, and doing a really serious analysis of the chart to try to understand exactly how he became worth so much money. Right? If you start to just look at the chart, you see he's got. Well, first of all, his ruling planet is in between the Sun and Venus, two very good planets. And it's a beautiful combination when you have those three planets together, the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. So you have the Sun and Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars gives a very, very long-term strategic outlook. Mars is the planet of war, and Venus gives it the ability to carry out its plans. It makes it more. It takes away some of its, let's say, some of its brutality and indiscriminate violence and a lack of restraint, and it gives the person the ability to be either Martian or Venus. So he has the ability to think long-term strategically and carry out a plan, which is very nice. And also the Sun is there, the Sun, the planet of honor. Right? So you see he's got the Sun, the planet of honor, conjunct his ruling planet, which indicates the man's going to get a lot of honor in this lifetime. And he'll get a lot of honor in the lifetime. And he's got Venus also. He's got three major planets in the second house. That's already, it's starting to give you a lot of, you see there's a lot of interest in making money. And if you look at the three planets in Sagittarius in the second house, who is their ruling planet is Jupiter. And Jupiter is exalted in his chart in Cancer, right? And it's the highest planet in his chart. Which we always learn in astrology that the planet that's highest in the chart, the closest to the midheaven, that's the planet that's strong by elevation, and it gives it a lot of strength by its elevation. And you look at his chart; it's higher than all the other. It's higher by a lot than all the other planets, and so you see that exalted Jupiter. And not only that, but Jupiter also makes a very nice trine to the ascendant, and a trine to his Mercury, and so Jupiter is connected almost with every planet in his chart, right? It's the sponsor of the three planets in Sagittarius. It's trine to the ascendant and Mercury, and the only planet it really does, and it's in the sign of Cancer. It's in the sign of the Moon. So it's a tremendously powerful Jupiter, brought him an amazing amount of good fortune. And he's got Mercury on the ascendant, which gives a great business mind. We said a really great Mercury makes a scientist, a deep thinker. A good Mercury makes a very brilliant businessman. And so he had a very, very strong Mercury exactly on the ascendant and in the sign of Scorpio. Tremendous cunning, tremendous ability to get the best deal, tremendous ability to long-term, like I said, he was a very, very, he was a deep thinker in his own way, in his business way. He could plan ahead, and he could build enterprises. Very, very nice chart. And I thank everybody for listening.